essential renovations or deceitful tactic.
And there's people in here losing sleep that I'm going to be homeless.
Dozens of tenants in Chatham face renoviction. Double shot of nightlife. Two new businesses hope to revamp the Windsor's downtown core.
It's a sign, that things are moving in the right direction.
And century of second chances. How the Windsor-Essex County Humane Society has expanded throughout the years.
CTV News with Stefanie Masotti.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us on CTV Windsor and AM 800. We begin tonight in Chatham, where an entire apartment building has been told they have to move out. The reason given, renovations. CTV's Robert Lothian joins us now with more. And Robert, this is really raising not just concern, but a lot of questions.
Yeah, Stefanie, and this really comes down to just one simple question. Are residents being pushed to move due to safety or money? Paperwork provided to residents points to concerns over the state of the building, but a legal expert says the devil is in the details. Within a month of learning their apartment building has a new owner, residents in Chatham's Terrace 40 received much worse than an introduction.
Actually, one of my neighbors, my wife and I neighbors, came to the door and said, "Did you see your eviction notice?"
Gord Harvey and 39 other tenants receiving notice they would have to leave the building for 8 months due to renovations for safety purposes.
We understand this news may come as a surprise, but it is essential that necessary work to be completed to keep up with rental market conditions.
The notices sent panic in a building of mostly seniors with an average rent of about $850.
Their worry is, and there's people in here losing sleep, that I'm going to be homeless.
Notices included a cash for keys offer, give up your tenancy, and receive $5,000. Tenants now left without any other choice, or so they thought.
This is a scare tactic, and I'm going to call it that because they're not very honest with the paperwork that they gave.
Housing stability worker Jeff Wilkins says Municipal Council first alerted him of the notices. A deceitful tactic, he says, is common in the province, serving as a form of renoviction.
So it is in the landlord's best interest, if they want to do it this way, to try to get rid of everybody.
The landlord is pointing to concerns over asbestos, which Wilkins says is not unusual in older properties.
You go into a church, you go into a school, there's a chance there's going to be asbestos in there. But as long as it's not disturbed, it does not have any ill health effects.
CTV News has made multiple attempts to contact the building owner, but has not received a response. As for those living here, more than 30 tenants plan to stay and fight.
So to try to get the landlord to say, this isn't worth it for me, this community is fighting, this building is too much trouble, and to get them to stop.
Robert Lothian, CTV News. In the aftermath of these eviction notices being given to tenants, the municipality is examining their options. Councillor Marjorie Crew is bringing a motion to Chatham Kent Council to look at a bylaw seeking to prevent renovictions. Municipalities like Toronto and Hamilton have already implemented what are known as N13 bylaws. These require a landlord to purchase a renovation license from the city or municipality before issuing notice to tenants. Crew says the goal is to ensure building owners are actually planning to renovate their property.
You legitimately need that unit vacant to do those renovations and to get permits to do that, and that, we guarantee that the folks that are being displaced are brought back within a reasonable amount of time, maybe some compensation to help them as they navigate that.
Crew will be taking that motion to council on February 9th. If approved, it will likely take staff a couple months to draft the bylaw and return it to council. Steph.
Okay, so what's next for these tenants?
Well, Steph, right now we're kind of in a bit of a waiting game, right? Residents have now made that known to the landlord that they are hoping to stay there and believe they have the legal authority to do so. They haven't heard much in the past couple of weeks in terms of a response, so they're hoping to get that next before they can figure out where they have to go from here.
Okay, Robert Lothian with our top story tonight. Thank you, Robert.
Thanks.
Another News. Charges have been laid following a vandalism spree in East Windsor. Police say between Boxing Day and January 26th, there were 24 separate occurrences involving homes, vehicles, and commercial buildings. All were similar in nature, with a projectile shattering windows. In several cases, a white marble or silver pellet was recovered at the scene. On Monday, police arrested a suspect in the parking lot in the 5000 block of Tecumseh Road East after the front window of a business was smashed by a projectile. A 32-year-old man is facing several charges. CTV meteorologist Gary Archibald joins us now for a first look at the weather tonight. Chilly out there, Gary.
You're right about that. Good evening, Stefanie. Good evening, folks. The extreme cold warning is in place because of the wind chill value combined with very cold temperatures well below seasonal. That trend continues. And there's even some snow in the vicinity. Most of it, though, is lake effect, and the winds out of the north-northwest fetching right across Lake Huron in particular will keep the snows to the east and northeast of us here in extreme southwestern Ontario. But those northwesterlies are tapping into the source. That polar air mass is well entrenched, and with those winds reinforced, wind chill values -30 to -35 tomorrow between 4 a.m. and 6. It'll still be in the mid-20s through rush hour. So frostbite's a concern. We'll break down what you need to know to see if there's any hope for warmer temperatures just ahead. For now, I'll send it back to you at the desk.
Now, this is the coldest week of the year on average in the Windsor area. The message from Environment Canada is dress appropriately and accordingly, as the cold temperatures will continue through the weekend. Average temperatures for this time of year are normally, as Gary said, around -1. But with overnight lows down to -23 and the wind chill makes it feel like -30, the risk of frostbite is a real concern. We decide to ask Windsorites, what do you think of the extreme cold?
It obviously sucks a lot. It's really cold and like a lot of walking to get from building to building and stuff, which sucks. But I really just a lot of layers. I'm wearing like 2 sweaters, 2 pairs of socks, all that kind of stuff. So, and then warm drinks, of course, that always helps.
You know what? It's been interesting because I'm actually from Toronto, but I was told that the winters in Windsor are not as bad. So it's been a little surprising, but been layering up, wearing my gloves, and it hasn't been terrible.
The Great Lakes are rapidly freezing over, which could mean relief when it comes to lake effect flurries through the rest of the winter. However, as Scott Miller reports, that could also mean colder temperatures stick around longer.
On January 14th, Lake Huron was almost a wide-open lake with about 10% ice coverage. By Monday of this week, Lake Huron was more than half covered in ice, a 45% increase in a little over a week.
We've seen this cold air really over the last 10 days has been significant in terms of freezing. So we've seen these numbers come up drastically.
Cold air blowing over the relatively warm and open waters has led to a steady stream of lake effect flurries and snow squalls since really December.
So anytime you get the lakes freezing over, that will shut down the lake effect snow. Do we see this happening in Lake Huron? No, not yet, but we will see perhaps some of those lake effect snow bands change where they set up.
The Great Lakes as a whole haven't been this frozen over since 2014, sitting at 45% ice cover. Lake Erie is almost entirely covered in ice, which hasn't happened since 1997. Lake Huron hit 55% ice coverage this week, and there's much more cold weather on the way, with below average temperatures through at least the first week of February and some of the coldest temperatures in decades coming up this weekend.
I know everyone looks forward to Groundhog Day because that's kind of like the day where we're like, okay, we made it. But in terms of the forecast, I really think that the cold has some staying power. So models up until about the second week of February are still showing temperatures below average.
Which is a double-edged sword. Colder temperatures freeze lakes, which at least curtails lake effect snow, but frozen lakes also leads to cooler temperatures inland.
as the lakes continue to freeze, we will see conditions getting even colder around the area because we won't have the lakes to moderate. So keeping a close eye for many factors, for the lake effect snow component, for the moderating of the temperatures in the area. So watching the Great Lakes freeze is definitely one of those things where it really has a major impact on the weather in this region.
In Midwestern Ontario, Scott Miller, CTV News.
Windsor could soon be raising a glass while turning the pedals as the city moves closer to letting pedal pubs serve alcohol. Until now, drinking was only allowed at the individual stops or after the ride was over. But City Council's Environment, Transportation and Public Safety Committee has approved opting into Ontario's large quadricycle pilot program, which begins as of July 1st. If Council gives final approval, Windsor would license pedal pubs as pedicabs and apply for a liquor license with at least $3 million in liability insurance. Alcohol service would mainly be available in the BIAs, excluding a few main streets like Wyandotte, University, and Riverside Drive. Currently, there is one pedal pub in Windsor. Pedal and Pour is the process of acquiring an alcohol license and are hoping to serve alcohol this summer. The pilot program would run until April of 2032. Can you picture 60 NHL-sized rinks filled with food waste? That is how much the Green Bin program has collected in the past 13 weeks since the program started. Essex Windsor Solid Waste Authority says on average 200+ tons of organic waste is being collected weekly in Windsor, Essex, Lakeshore, LaSalle, and Tecumseh. The hope now is to get participation to over 40%. It's currently somewhere around 29 to 30%. Phase 2 of the Green Bin recycling program will include Amherstburg, Kingsville, and Leamington. Those communities will receive their green bins in the fall. Downtown Windsor is getting a double shot of nightlife with 2 new businesses set to open and change the vibes. Many say it's a move in the right direction, but those are other people who want to see more before calling it a full comeback. CTV's Bob Belichico has more.
Yeah, I guess it's more than a hint. It's a sign, that things are moving in the right direction.
Arius is leaving Caesars Windsor and relocating on Olette Avenue. Caesars officials say they wish the Arius team the best of luck, but have no current plans for the space.
To bring that brand to Olette Avenue, you're taking a massive footprint that has been empty for years and filling that space, right? That's a huge win for the downtown core.
Another club is taking over the old Turbo, officially reopening on Valentine's Day. Prototype will be a nightlife club with top-shelf technology on the weekend and a multi-use event space during the week.
You can see it's with some of the other clubs that are existing right now. We have lineups around the block. The people are there. The energy is there. It is really starting to make a comeback, and I think when we get into spring and this summer, it's going to be huge again.
Prototype owner Brad Goldring and other business owners have heard the underlying concern for downtown safety.
If you're going to make the business decision to leave what is arguably the safest venue in the city, being inside the casino, to come downtown, that's a huge vote of confidence.
I truly believe that the idea of downtown being unsafe is certainly overblown, and I think all it takes is people to come down and see.
People I spoke with here in the downtown core agree that it's not a bad idea to have a couple of more night spots to hang out at, but they would like to see more diversification down here as well. More cafes, more restaurants, more patios, parking, a bakery, maybe even a neighborhood grocery store. Katie Stokes, co-owner of Whiskey Jack Boutique on University Avenue, says customers from all over the region would like to see more retail in downtown Windsor.
We've kind of acted as almost like a pillar to try to show other businesses that it is possible to find success down here as a retailer, and we'd love to see more businesses similar to ours or retail of any kind open up in this area.
Bob Belichico, CTV News.
Bob adds that Councillor Agostino says discussions are underway to close down the alley behind what will be the new Arius on Olette Avenue. Agostino would like to see it be used like either Parker's Alley or the Belt in downtown Detroit. Another reason to close off the alley, create a flow to Maiden Lane that could possibly include a walkway over Olette Avenue. The manager at the Manchester likes the idea of closing it off.
I think the opportunity of getting businesses to extend out and to have more attention and to make it look nice around here for a change would honestly do good for just the whole street of downtown in general, not only us.
With Caesar's parking garage still under construction, the city is opening up the parking garage at Chatham and Goyo for patrons. Parking will be free from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. on Friday and Saturday. Caesar says their floors that were closed for construction will be available on Friday. But while some construction continues, guests are still encouraged to ride share and use other nearby parking options. The opening of Amherstburg's new fire hall is delayed once again. The opening was tentatively scheduled for March. However, Fire Chief Michael Mio says winter weather has caused construction delays. He says the cold has caused construction to either stop or completely be delayed at some of its key points, and that's had a domino effect. The opening date is being pushed back to the end of May. The cost of the project is $11.3 million. Amherstburg is currently recruiting up to 10 volunteer firefighters. Applications are being accepted until February 8th. If you use Nexus to cross into the U.S. through the Windsor-Detroit tunnel, there's an important change that you'll want to know about. Drivers heading from Windsor into the U.S. will see a change to where Nexus lanes are located on the Detroit side of the tunnel. On weekdays from 5:30 a.m. to 10 a.m., Nexus lanes will be on the right side of the U.S. Plaza, with general traffic being moved to the left. Outside of those hours, the setup flips back. Officials say the change is in effect until further notice, and drivers should follow posted signs. It's a century of second chances. The Windsor-Essex County Humane Society kicked off its 100th anniversary today. CTV's Chris Campbell joins us now with how animal care has actually evolved over the past 100 years and what's still to come.
Yes, Stephanie, the Humane Society says there have been dramatic changes in how animals are treated since it was founded in 1926, but the need to protect vulnerable animals remains as strong as ever.
It's nice knowing as a community member that there is a safe place where pets are taken care of and where they can find a forever home, and in our community it's the Windsor-Essex County Humane Society.
Founded in 1926, the organization began with humble roots, eventually opening its first shelter in the 1950s. The current facility opened in 1971 and has expanded over time to include a public clinic and dog park. Today, the Humane Society focuses on rehabilitation, medical care, and adoption. Anniversary events and fundraisers will continue throughout the year, like the Great Catsby Gala in April. Executive Director Lynette Bain says one of the biggest challenges right now is an increase in medical-related surrenders, as some owners struggle with the rising cost of care.
100 years ago, it wasn't as the norm to have a dog or a cat in your home, and now that's really what we are striving to see, is dogs and cats and other small animals find their forever homes with loving families. So I think our team is so proud of the work that's been done, and then what opportunities we have for the future to keep evolving that work and be there for those animals that don't have a voice.
As part of its centennial kickoff, the Humane Society also launched a new fundraising campaign, the Fuel to the Future, with a goal of raising $100,000 to replace 2 aging animal rescue vehicles. Lynette Bain says the current vehicles are nearing 10 years old and have racked up about 400,000 kilometers across the region. Stephanie?
Much needed. Okay, Chris Campbell, thank you for this. Now, this takes us to our question of the day. Is your pet from a breeder or a shelter? Or do you not have a pet? Go to our website to cast your vote, ctvnewswindsor.ca. Yesterday, we asked if you are fearful or hopeful about the year ahead. Out of around 700 responses, 67% say they are more fearful. Now, do you have a story you think we should cover? We do want to hear from you. Please text us at 10400. You can send photos and video as well. Still ahead on Windsor's news leader, Albertans meet with the U.S. to discuss separation. Some call it outright treason. New tactics, new tech. Later, why criminals are finding Canadians easier to target. More than 1,000 auto workers will be out of a job on Monday. General Motors announcing today it will be cutting its 3rd shift at its Oshawa plant. The decision comes as GM shifts jobs to the United States. The union speaking out today, calling it devastating. Premier Doug Ford saying he's very disappointed, noting the province has a plan to support the impacted workers.
We're going to make sure that they have opportunities, the defense sector, life science sector, other areas, and we'll be there for them 24/7.
Unifor, the union representing workers, say it was awarded a third shift in 2020, with the Silverado truck coming off the line in 2021 to pick up the extra demand. It says in the past, third shifts have lasted up to a decade, but not this time around. Unifor says this layoff also affects hundreds of other members who are part of the supply chain. BC Premier David Eby is speaking out on Alberta's separatist movement, calling a meeting between the group and the White House officials treason. Strong remarks from the Premier as the Prime Minister hosts his provincial counterparts for a final day, where, as CTV's Abigail Beeman reports, the focus is on unity.
Our country is more united, ambitious, and determined than it has been in decades.
All premiers and the Prime Minister around the table in Ottawa, but that message of unity is infringed on by a Financial Times report. The Alberta separatism movement has been meeting the Trump administration and is seeking $500 billion in credit in the event of a successful referendum.
To go to a foreign country and to ask for assistance in breaking up Canada, there's an old-fashioned word for that, and that word is treason.
It's ludicrous, right? I mean, we're there on a fact-finding basis. If there's nothing treasonous about it.
The group says it did meet with U.S. officials, but is only doing a feasibility study
To determine whether that facility would be available on a going forward basis, and whether it's with U.S. Treasury or Goldman Sachs or J.P. Morgan through a bond issue.
The U.S. State Department said it regularly meets with civil society types and no commitments were made. A similar response from the White House, which tells CTV News no support or commitments were conveyed. The U.S. Secretary of the Treasury has weighed in on separatism before.
Alberta is a natural partner for the U.S.
I would expect that the U.S. administration would respect Canadian sovereignty and that they would confine their discussion about Alberta's democratic process to Albertans and to Canadians. And I will raise that with my delegate in Washington.
At the closing press conference, the Prime Minister would not answer whether he felt there was foreign interference from the United States.
I expect the U.S. administration to respect Canadian sovereignty. I'm always clear in my conversation with President Trump to that effect, and then move on to what we can do together.
While Canada faces separation speculation further east too, with the rise in popularity of Quebec's Parti Québécois.
He's going to call a referendum. If he, God forbid, he gets elected, I mark my words, within a year and a half, he'll be calling a referendum to separate from Canada. Unacceptable.
As for the substance of the meetings, a big focus was the upcoming review of the North American Free Trade Deal. The Prime Minister said he and the premiers agreed to meet monthly once that review is underway. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Ottawa.
These days, paying for groceries is still the #1 expense, draining the pocketbooks of Canadians. CTV's Alex Carpa has the stats and the effect it's also having on spending habits.
Hard to make decisions.
A trip to the grocery store is not an easy one for Ben Nye.
It's really expensive here.
Soaring prices at checkout are forcing him to carefully consider what meals he can afford to make.
That's not bad. $4.99.
Being currently unemployed and searching for work has made it a struggle to pay the bills.
As a consumer, we're being hit hard, and it's being difficult for us to actually be able to afford anything anymore.
Nye has even resorted to selling many of his things just to cover costs.
It's difficult trying to make ends meet.
Like Ben, many are feeling the impacts of rising grocery prices. A new survey finds that the biggest concerns around costs for Canadians is right here at the grocery store. A new Nanos research poll for CTV News finds grocery prices worry Canadians more than housing costs as inflation continues to rise. More than half of Canadians say groceries are top of mind when looking to save money this year, followed by housing at almost 25% and healthcare at nearly 10%.
It speaks to the pressure that Canadians are under and how groceries are at the top of the list, significantly ahead of things like housing and healthcare and fuel and entertainment, all those things.
But experts warn that relief may not come anytime soon.
The story on tariffs are going to continue as we're trying to renew CUMSA with a very unfortunate negotiating opponent in the United States. Could be looking at, a bad year next year as well.
Try this.
As prices continue to climb with no end in sight, Nye says he will do whatever it takes just to stay afloat. Alex Carpa, CTV News, Winnipeg.
Well, you can skip Toronto. Porter Airlines is now offering direct flights from Windsor to Ottawa starting May 1st. Porter Airlines will offer daily flights to Ottawa, no layovers in Toronto required. The direct flight takes off 7 days a week and takes about an hour and 40 minutes. Ticket prices range from around $184 to $400, depending on the day and seat class. Windsor Airport already offers flights through Air Canada, Air Transat, and WestJet, but there is a stop at Billy Bishop Airport. Canada's main stock index was weighed down by losses in the basic materials sector. In Toronto, the TSX lost 160 points. In New York, the Dow gained 56, the Nasdaq fell 172. The Canadian dollar's up almost a third of a cent. On commodity markets, gold gained more than $14 an ounce and oil added $2.21 a barrel.
Now you have a far improved immune response that can go out and attack cancer cells.
Researchers are turning human waste into hope. Coming up, the tiny pill cutting cancer side effects and helping patients fight back.
Let's look at our CTV News weather snapshot. Thanks to Leanne Gledhill for this image. Just ahead, will the risk of frostbite intensify as the early morning approaches? Could we see wind chill values colder than -30? We'll find out next on CTV News Windsor.
Discussion here at Windsor City Hall.
Windsor's top stories.
A major project is about to get underway.
Breaking news alerts.
Severe weather is a possibility.
And watch live.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us.
Download the CTV News app.
The wind chill making it dangerously cold out there. Gary joins me again for an extended look at the weather. Gary.
Yes, extreme cold tonight through to tomorrow morning. Much of the day. Friday still cold and below seasonal. The weekend warms up, relatively speaking, just a bit, but we are still well below seasonal. Hence, this map is painted a shade of blue to indicate the extreme cold warning with a wind chill in the -30 to 35 range tomorrow morning before dawn, say around 4 or 5 a.m. It will be in the mid-20s when most of us are headed to work or school. -10 right now. Out of the north-northwest, the wind sustained at 15 with gusts closer to 20, and it feels like about -17. That at the airport under cloudy conditions. Air quality, nothing to see here. It's in the green. That means low, which means good. The winds, though, may be picking up just a bit for Chatham-Kent and not so much in Windsor. The higher the winds combined with the ambient temperature, that's how you get the wind chill, making it seem, or at least feel, much colder than the actual air temperature. It feels colder than -10 to -11 between Windsor, Essex, Chatham-Kent, and the surrounds right now. Feeling closer to about -16, about -19. Pelee Island, of course, Leamington, Kingsville, Amherstburg included, LaSalle, Tecumseh, Bell River, Lakeshore, etc. Much warmer in BC and Alberta. They're on the pluses. 10 degrees in Vancouver, 10 in Calgary, -11 in Regina. Look at that differential. Just to give you an idea, that east of Calgary, much colder, and it includes this area we're seeing here, the Great Lakes, where still streams of lake effect snow keep riding those northwesterly winds right across Lake Huron. That's your snow belt. We remain relatively dry tonight, tomorrow, and even for parts of the weekend. It's just bitterly cold. The northwesterlies reinforcing that polar air and keeping it in place. Looks like we are going to see partly cloudy conditions through 10 p.m. By midnight, mostly clear. At midnight, minus 14 feels like about minus 20 to 24. Take a look at the Enercare Siles 7-day forecast tomorrow. Very cold, minus 30, wind chill. Saturday, Sunday, sunny both days, minus 8, minus 5, then minus 6, minus 4, minus 3, minus 4. In and out of cloud, but those temperatures getting closer to minus 1. What would be our average? Let's look at your weather.
New research shows that healthy poop is improving the lives of cancer patients. Already, poop pills developed in London have shown a promise in the treatment of pancreatic, skin, and breast cancer. CTV's Sean Irvin with the latest breakthrough in kidney cancer research.
Inside this lab at the London Health Sciences Centre Research Institute, medical investigators are once again turning human waste into human hope for kidney cancer patients. The premise is a simple one. Microbes of fecal matter taken from healthy donors are compressed into a pill and ingested. The healthy poop then prompts microorganisms inside the patient to fight cancer.
Now you have a far improved immune response that can go out and attack cancer cells.
In advanced kidney cancer patients, the team also found that poop pills reduce the severe side effects of life-extending immunotherapy.
So with the poop pills, we're able to decrease the side effects of in these patients, and they were able to still respond to the treatment. So that was very neat to see.
Before fecal transplant pills were developed at Lawson Research Institute, as many as 50% of kidney cancer patients were unable to withstand the impact of immunotherapy. Yet in the clinical trial of 20, only one participant experienced serious side effects, with researchers reporting a 50 to 60% reduction in negative symptoms for all participants. The result improved quality of life and gave some patients a chance at a longer one.
They want to live longer, but they also want to live better. So by not having a lot of side effects of these treatments with the poop pills, they are able to have a better quality of life.
The findings are the latest in a growing list of studies that show that poop pills are making a difference in the fight against multiple types of cancer. Already, poop pills have been shown to improve and in some cases extend the lives of small samples of pancreatic, skin, and breast cancer patients. Dr. Malecki hopes a broader trial of 160 lung patients will show similar benefits. In the meantime, the team keeps working to help those fighting kidney cancer.
Here, obviously, it's a little too early to talk about survival for our patients, but our hope is that we would see the same trend.
Should all go well, it will be at least 5 more years of testing before poop pills are widely available. In London, Sean Irvin, CTV News.
With chronic pain affecting 1 in every 5 Canadians, a Toronto physiotherapist is hoping there will be a wide audience for his new musical. That's right, a musical about pain. Health reporter Pauline Chan visited one of the rehearsals.
Longtime physiotherapist and show creator Bahram Jam says pain is simply a message in the body that something needs to change.
Everybody wants a quick fix. A magic fix, a magic pill, a magic injection, a magic stretch, a magic anything. But the truth is, magic thing doesn't exist when it comes to chronic pain.
Chronic pain is pain that lasts more than 3 months and doesn't respond to the usual treatments.
What this musical does is I've personified pain, when pain is actually a comical, humorous character. And at first people think it's a villain, But by the end of the show, hopefully people will change their relationship with pain.
Charlotte Moore plays the title character, Pain.
Our tagline is giving chronic pain a voice. And so it's about patients being able to discover that a way to deal with their pain is to not confront it, but to embrace it and to learn to live with it. And it's a different take on what they might be taught by the industry of, here, take this pill and you'll feel better.
Blythe Wilson plays Dr. J and says as a dancer, she's had many years to think of her relationship with pain.
Dr. J is dealing with her own pain, which is pain from grief. And so she's trying to throw herself into her work.
Jam wants physicians and patients to see the show and even has free tickets for anyone with financial difficulties.
My main intention is to take away the stigma that's related to chronic pain, just so we have done it for mental health.
Pain the Musical runs January 28th to February 1st here at the Factory Theatre. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
Coming up, we're going to be talking about the Roast of Windsor Rose City Comedy Festival.
Curtis, please take it easy on us, bro. I know there's a lot to work with here.
Hey, no problem, Shaggy. Just make sure Scooby doesn't eat my snacks backstage.
Zoinks, man!
Stay tuned.
The federal Cybersecurity Center is warning Canadians that criminals are using new tactics and technology that make it easier to target victims. A new report reveals that the ransomware threat is increasing and evolving as malicious actors adopt new, sophisticated strategies like using AI.
It'll help them create better social engineering, or like these phishing emails that they'll send out to better appeal to individuals so that they'll click on the malicious links and get themselves infected. It'll help to automate malware that they use in terms of the ransomware activities.
A warning for anyone planning on selling a used car privately. Scammers are showing up, distracting the seller so they can tamper with the vehicle, making it seem like there's a serious problem. As Pat Foran reports, one recent incident of all of this was caught on camera.
I feel violated.
Mark Rafi and Carol Crawford of Paris, Ontario were selling their 2016 Hyundai Santa Fe. They listed it for $7,000 on Facebook Marketplace. Two people came at night to see the vehicle. One man wanted to inspect the trunk.
And he was looking underneath the mats and looking for the spare tire, and had me completely occupied. So I was not aware of what the other person was doing, who had gone around to the car, opened up the hood.
It's believed after opening the hood, the man sprayed oil throughout the engine compartment. When the potential buyer started to go for a test drive, he stopped and backed into the driveway.
The other gentleman who was hanging around the driveway squatted down and sprayed or inserted something liquid into the tailpipe.
After a short drive, they returned, and smoke was pouring off the engine and out of the exhaust.
There's all this white smoke coming out, and the other guy who was in the driveway comes running around and says, look, he says, there's oil everywhere.
Rafi says the two men told him the engine had blown and the car was worthless.
It was like, oh my gosh, something must have blown because there's oil everywhere.
He was asking $7,000 for the SUV, but was convinced to take $1,000 just to get rid of it. The two men paid in cash, took an extra set of tires, and left. Rafi told his wife what happened. That's when they checked their security video.
We saw everything. I said, we've been scammed. I said, this is a scam.
This is a case of seller beware.
An auto fraud investigator says criminals will put oil on the engine and in the tailpipe to make the car smoke and appear to have serious mechanical problems.
They really presented a convincing story to the owner that his car has blown the engine.
Rafi is upset he was scammed out of $6,000 and that he trusted the two men.
To be taken like this, I don't know how somebody sleeps at night after doing this.
Pat Foran, CTV News.
Turning now to our weekly segment, What's Up YQG, with Johnny Parks from our sister station 89X and our own Melanie Kentner. You too, what's happening in the area to check out this weekend?
Yeah, we're going to be talking about the Roast of Windsor Rose City Comedy Festival. Now, Johnny, this seems right up your alley.
I'm very excited. I was thinking of getting some heckling ready, but I'm way too easy of a target, so I'm not going to do that. But we're here with Curtis Coleman, the host, roast master with the most. What's up? Tell us about the event.
Yeah, I can't wait this Saturday. It's going to be a lot of fun. We have some of the best comics in the area coming on. We have some very special guests who I will not spoil for everybody who's coming out to the show. And, of course, we have the Rose City Roast Battle. So it's going to be 8 comics going head-to-head in a good old-fashioned roast battle.
Now, what exactly will they be roasting?
Themselves, mainly, and, of course, the city and all the surrounding areas. Nobody's safe, not even Forest Glade, but I think they're used to that, so it's okay.
And there's a prize involved, I hear.
There is. I can't spoil it just yet, but it is going to be a very grand prize, as well as the title of Windsor's meanest person. So.
Ooh, I love the mystery. Now, is this the first event of its kind?
Nothing like this on this scale. We have done some roast battles before, but to be honest, every time comedians hang out, it's a bit of a mini roast battle. So this is just us hanging out on a grand scale with some special guests.
And how can people get tickets?
Everything is online. It's all at rosecitycomedyfestival.com for more information or tickets.
Sounds good. Now, we'll put all the links on our website as well. Now, Johnny, there are a few other things going on this weekend, including at the casino.
Yeah, Hairball, Arena Rock. So if you like Van Halen, Motley Crue, Kiss, that kind of thing, that is on Friday.
Yes, and the WSO has a rock theme going on, too.
Yeah, so if you're more into like Zeppelin, The Who, they got that going on, also Friday.
Exactly, and there's something for a few more refined people.
Oh my, yes, the Winemaker's Night at Chicharo Club on Saturday.
Sounds great. Well, we put all those links online. Thanks, guys, and that's What's Up, Waikiki.
This is your CTV Windsor, our community calendar. Join us for a wonderful lunch of a variety of chilies, February the 11th from 11 a.m. until 2 p.m. All proceeds benefit St. Clair College Foundation and student scholarships. See you next time on Our Community.
It's time to check in on what's happening now with Kate Otterbein. And Kate, the Ontario greenhouse vegetable growers, they're happy about a recent grocery announcement, but are calling for additional measures.
That's right. OGVG would like the feds to make sure that these affordability measures are supported by a stable trade relationship with the U.S. vegetable sector. They say the sector relies heavily on export markets and cross-border supply chains. 85% of the greenhouse produce in Ontario is sent to the U.S. Executive Director Richard Lee says that reality wasn't reflected in the announcement. Without cross-border shipping, he calls it a major oversight. The full response from OGVG is available online at ctvnewswindsor.ca.
And Kate, we also have a Leamington man who's been found guilty under the PAWS Act.
Yes, so for those of you who don't know, PAWS stands for Provincial Animal Welfare Services. The man must now pay $1,000 for the violation. The details surrounding the animal mistreatment were not given, but we do know he is facing multiple charges related to not providing medical treatment, sanitary conditions, or giving the necessary care to an animal. He is now banned from owning or living with any animals for life. If you know of an animal that is possibly in distress or being abused, check out our website for where to report it. And in our social spotlight tonight, this little girl decided to treat herself to a manicure and pedicure.
Wow. And then what else did you do? You did your feet? Man, those are beautiful.
Yes, those are press-on nails on her toes. Her mom was quite surprised when she saw her showing off her new mani-pedi. And apparently she sounded like a dog clicking around the house, but I imagine just like heels, that's the fun part for her.
Yeah, and look at her. She has all the blue on one side, green on the other, color coordinating at least.
Glamorous.
Kids do the funniest things. The funniest thing, I don't know, my daughter did was she found a Band-Aid this size, put it on her forehead, wanted to go to school. I let her go to school with it, and her teacher's like, is she okay? I'm like, absolutely. She wanted to wear it for looks, so.
It's a new fashion statement.
Yeah, at least it's not press-on nails on the feet. It's still cute. Okay, if anyone has video at home they want to send to you, how can they do it?
You can send us an email at newsnow@bellmedia.ca or text it to 10400.
Okay, thank you, Kate. When we return, turning a snowstorm into a playground. That is actually a beautiful shot there.
Thank you.
You're welcome. During this time of year, I always just want to be next to a fireplace.
Well,
warm and cozy.
Warm, cozy.
Yeah.
I'm feeling sick, actually. All of a sudden, I'm coughing this afternoon, so stay away, folks. The cold is significant and severe. Environment Canada with the warning for extreme cold tonight, technically tomorrow morning between, say, 4 and 6 a.m. It could feel like minus 30 to minus 35. We'll see a fair weather day, a mixture of sun and cloud, but the high is only minus 12. Sunny on the weekend, minus 7, followed by minus 5 or 6. And then some flurries scattered, potentially, Monday through Tuesday morning. Temperatures will be in the single digits below 0, but at least not in the teens, double digits. And the wind chills will drop as well. Overall, I think we're trending towards more normal figures in terms of temperatures next week.
Okay, that's good to know. Now, Gary, we know a lot of people are complaining about the temperatures we're dealing with. I know some people blame you, and we always say that you are just merely the messenger, but there's one person who isn't complaining about this weather. Take a look at this guy in St. Louis. This 3-year-old polar bear named Kalu at the St. Louis Zoo was making the most of his time during Sunday's snowstorm. Kalu can be seen playing, swimming, and rolling around in the snow in his enclosure. The zoo was closed for 3 days this week due to the snow and extreme cold, and to allow team members additional time for snow removal. He's having a blast.
He is, but just note that adult polar bears are human killers. You don't want to be caught out in the wild in anywhere in the northern latitudes with a mother and their cub.
So it's good that he's in an enclosure.
Yeah, they're cute and cuddly when they're young, but they are killers. Let's just be honest about that.
Watch them from afar. Okay.
Top-tier predators, ladies and gentlemen.
On behalf of our dedicated team here at CTV News Windsor, thank you for watching.
For updates throughout the evening, go to ctvnewswindsor.ca. Travis and I will be back with your only late local newscast at 11. We'll be inside so the polar bears won't bite.
Yes.
See you then.
Good night.